What's up, my comic comrades? Today we're wrapping up the epic 6-issue miniseries Dark Ages by the great Tom Taylor. For those of you who are new to the story, it's an alternate reality Marvel story that places the Marvel Universe in a dystopian apocalyptic setting after a catastrophic event that wiped out the ability to generate electricity. We covered the first 4 issues of this series between 2 different episodes, and today we're bringing it to a close with issues 5 and 6. So if you haven't read the issues for yourselves, we highly recommend you do that. But at the very least, you can catch yourself up by watching our previous videos on issues 1 through 4. With that said, let's see how Tom Taylor brings Dark Ages to an end. Issue 5 starts off with us seeing our heroes bury Nick Fury, who was killed last issue. And as Spider-Man, Wolverine, Nightcrawler, and the rest are having a funeral for their fallen friend, Deadpool comes up saying, "Hey, welcome to Europe." Before I bring out my standard hats and accents, I just want to gauge how everyone feels about cultural stereotypes. Gabby then turns around saying, "Wade," he says, "Gabby, what's with you being all serious? Did someone die or something?" She just looks at him saying, "Yeah, Nick Fury." He replies, oh hey, I'm sorry. Fury was one of the good ones. We are then taken to Apocalypse's headquarters in Paris, where he asks Tony Stark, who's being controlled by the Purple Man, can it be done? Stark replies, "I understand what you want, but I need to see the size of the problem." Apocalypse tells him, "I will show it to you. I will teleport you and protect you down there." Kilgrave. He responds, "Apocalypse, I really don't like going down there." But Apocalypse just stares at Kilgrave, with Kilgrave ultimately saying, "But I will, of course." Spider-Man then narrates telling us as we ready to head to France, Apocalypse took our mind-enslaved friends to the center of the earth, to where the Unmaker slept, to where our friends had fallen. At the center of the earth, the mind-controlled heroes see Doctor Strange's corpse, but are told, "Don't touch Strange. His body has decayed, but his magical wards remain in place." Mr. Fantastic then says, "My hypothesis is a neutron star lies inside there, giving off a constant electromagnetic pulse." Stark replies, "That's a good working theory. We could poke our head in and take a look, if we felt like being torn apart by a gravitational pull comparable to a black hole. How long do you need, Apocalypse?" And he says to inhabit it, to take control of a power beyond that even of a celestial or a god, I would not need long. Minutes perhaps, an hour. Beast says, "Contain the power of a neutron star for an hour?" Apocalypse says, "I ask again, can it be done?" Stark replies, "It's impossible, but I'm always up for a challenge." Spider-Man narrates saying Tony's mind had begun turning. The clock was ticking. We had to reach France. There was just one problem. As we see his daughter May and Luke and Jessica's daughter Danny. Spider-Man then says, "They can't come with us." Deadpool then interrupts saying, "Really great responsibility? It's like your whole thing. It would be pretty damn irresponsible for you to leave your kids behind in a refugee camp." After this, Peter finds out that Storm is not sailing back to Wakanda. No, she's staying because she says they need every advantage they can get against Apocalypse. She continues to say, if we free Europe, if we end the tyrant, the refugee crisis ends too. The last great threat to Wakanda and the world is removed. I'm coming with you. After this, Peter realizes that his daughter may have to go with him, which makes him incredibly irritated. Dr. Doom then tries to give his 2 cents on the situation, but Peter ultimately says, "You know what? I'm not up for taking parenting advice from Dr. Doom." At this point, Deadpool says, "Then it's settled. Family road trip to the Heart of Darkness, to the Deadmobile." As Deadpool shows them he's got a double-decker bus, Pepper Potts then asks, "Why are you our tour guide through Europe?" Deadpool replies, "Simple. I've been beaten, stabbed, and shot in every part of this continent. I am an expert in the places to avoid." All aboard? Spider-Man then narrates, "We set out to save the world. Heroes and a villain. Avengers and mutants. Children and a dinosaur. Deadpool was our tour guide. When night fell, they stopped in a forest away from major roads. But Gabby, Wolverine, and Blade smell something in the forest. Wolverine even says, something is hunting us. So Blade says, then let's go hunt the hunter quietly. The female Wolverine then says, above us, in the trees. Get ready to, as something impales her right through the torso. Gabby then says, Laura, and Blade then uses a sword to cut through the tentacles that impaled Laura. The mysterious being then targets the rest of the group with Dr. Doom saying, stay together, stay with the fire. Danny then says, Mom, and May answers saying, don't worry, Danny, there's nothing to be scared of. I don't sense anything. Peter narrates saying, we all knew a whole lot of danger was coming our way, but May was right, we couldn't feel it. I knew what kind of danger could evade our spider sense. And that's when I thought I knew what Moon Girl's light was about to reveal. I thought wrong, it was a whole lot worse than I could have imagined, as Moon Girl's light reveals Venom and Carnage, two symbiotes joined together around one host. The Venom Carnage hybrid then attacks Devil Dinosaur, and Devil Dinosaur put the symbiotes in his mouth and then spits it out. At this point, Peter starts shooting webs at it while Deadpool starts shooting it, with captions from Spider-Man saying, we were caught off guard by a hybrid nightmare sent by Apocalypse, but once we knew what we were fighting, the nightmare didn't stand a chance. As Pepper Potts says, move. Spider-Man continues to narrate saying, two symbiotes are afraid of fire against an Iron Woman powered by a furnace. She then blasts the symbiotes with fire, causing Venom and Carnage to leave its host. At this point, Storm flies in the air saying, Sue, shield everyone. Peter continues to narrate, saying, two burning, frightened aliens losing their host and afraid of loud noises, against a woman who was once thought to be the goddess of thunder. As Storm quite literally brings down the thunder, Peter goes on to say, the night could have gone so badly, but we didn't lose anyone. And when the smoke clears from the thunder and lightning, it reveals that Miles Morales was the host for Venom and Carnage. Peter then says, we gained a friend, while picking up Miles, saying, hey, we've got you, man. It's gonna be okay. Miles then says, no, listen, nothing is going to be okay. I heard it. I heard it all. I know how Apocalypse is going to end the world. And with that, let's jump into issue 6. Issue 6 starts off with Miles Morales explaining what happened, saying, Venom and I found each other after the world went dark. I think in those early days, we kept each other alive. It worked out for a while, until Carnage came, and then the two of them whispering in my mind, I lost myself, Pete. Doom then says, why would symbiotes work for Apocalypse? Miles replies, because he told them what no one else knows, because of what he promised them, because of what he plans to do. He's working to stop the EMP. That's why he's kidnapped all those inventors. There's going to be a moment when the power comes back on, and he promised the symbiotes a ship and an escape from the planet before he destroys it. We are then taken back to Apocalypse and his enslaved heroes, where Tony Stark is showing Dr. Octopus Captain America's shield. Doc Ock asks, how did you think of this, Stark? He tells them, it's all I've been thinking about since the power went out. I spent years experimenting with alchemy. I used every metal I could work with to block out the pulse, but I didn't have the means to work with the best. Beast then asks, Reed, have you run the calculations? He replies, yes. The sphere Tony has devised would crack under the stress of the portal. Magneto will not survive at the center, but I believe it would hold for long enough. Stark then says we surround the portal with a blend of metals to deflect and absorb the electromagnetism, with the strength to hold it all together. Reed can create something to break down the shield, but I also need pure adamantium. So unless you have some lying around somewhere, and Apocalypse replies with an evil grin, I do. I have some adamantium buried beneath us. As we see, Apocalypse is keeping the OG Logan Wolverine buried beneath him in a tunnel somewhere. Apocalypse then teleports in with Cyclops and Killgrave confronting Wolverine. Killgrave then uses his mind control to force Cyclops to use his optical blast to fry the flesh off Wolverine's bones. Captions from Spider-Man say Wolverine's bones were coated with adamantium. But everything holding him together, his muscles, his tendons, not so much. It's a pretty gnarly page, Wolverine going out like a Bamf charging Cyclops. But it doesn't matter, the flesh is literally melted off his body. After this, Apocalypse returns to Stark, throwing Wolverine's adamantium skull at him, saying, you have your adamantium, as we also see Wolverine's adamantium lay skeleton hovering above them. Apocalypse then asks, how long? Stark replies, Reed can whip up a molecular deconstructor pretty quickly, and it shouldn't take long once the metal is in a form I can work with. Apocalypse says, begin now, at which point Dr. Octopus says, Apocalypse, could I have a word? The two then go for a walk, and Apocalypse asks, what is it, Octavius? He tells him everything Stark has devised should work, but there's one very big hole in the plan. If you move your mind into the Unmaker, I can't guarantee your current powers would work. You may not be able to teleport out. The only way out would be to break the planet apart. Apocalypse replies, yes, and the problem with that is? Octavius replies, it's the planet we're all standing on. Apocalypse then says, you're a bit too clever, Otto. I can't have someone so clever trying to think his way out of this. At which point, Apocalypse uses his powers to literally rip Dr. Octopus in half. We then see Spider-Man and gang finally make it to Paris, with Peter narrating, saying 1 hour until the paradise we made would be gone forever. Fortunately, we had an unlikely pair of bus buddies, the most innovative mind on the planet brainstorming with the most ruthless. As we see Moon Girl and Dr. Doom devise a plan to take out Apocalypse. Peter continues narrating the comic, saying Miles and Devil Dinosaur were in no condition for an assault, so they were asked to look after the kids. Everyone knew their part, the plan was set, as we see Storm use her powers to attack Apocalypse's hideout. Apocalypse says, get Magneto prepared and do not stop building. Killgrave, the cells, let them out. Peter continues narrating, saying Stark's fear was almost ready. Apocalypse was moments away from ending the world. We all knew the plan, and we thought we knew what we were up against. We had no idea what we were up against. As we see, Apocalypse is using a mind-controlled Captain America, Beast, Cyclops, Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, and more. And on the next page, a battle ensues for the fate of the planet. But during the battle, Killgrave says, that's it, kill them. Kill them all. Split there. And on the next page, we see Killgrave get shot right through the head by Deadpool nonetheless. Gabby then says, Jess and Luke were going to knock him unconscious. That was the plan. Deadpool replies, I didn't hear the plan. I was driving the bus. Oh man, Jess, I feel like I've robbed you from so much needed catharsis here. You want to kick his corpse a bit, or? Peter then narrates the scene, saying, with Deadpool going full Deadpool, Killgrave's influence was removed, and suddenly we had allies, outside and in, as we see all the heroes are no longer mind-controlled. At this point, Peter tells us Apocalypse was about to destroy our friends. He was about to travel to the center of the earth with a sphere Tony had devised. Once he teleported, we wouldn't be able to reach him. The world would be broken apart. With his power, nothing could stop him. And that's when Dr. Doom and Moon Girl's full plan came into effect. That's when Sue Storm was unleashed, as we see her walking in with her fellow heroes saying, "You kidnapped my husband and my child. You took Johnny." Apocalypse then says, "I can't feel my power. I can't reach it." Sue, with her hand extended using her power, says, "That would be the small force field I've put around your frontal lobe." Peter then narrates saying Nightcrawler was able to teleport Apocalypse's protective armor away. Moongirl's idea was to permanently sever Apocalypse's mind from his abilities, to give him just a little lobotomy. But that wasn't enough for Doom, and he had his own plan he neglected to share. As we see Dr. Doom say, "Now Vlad." Peter then says Victor Von Doom thought of a way to end Apocalypse, as we see that he was turning Apocalypse into a vampire, as Vlad, or Dracula, bites him on the neck. Vlad then says, "Doom told me what you were planning, and Sabanor, you betrayed me. Now you are one of us. You will be mine forever." Peter then continues to narrate saying, "How do you destroy an indestructible man? By manipulating a monster into making him destructible, by making him a vampire." At which point we see Blade come flying in with the swords, decapitating both Apocalypse and Dracula. As Peter says, "At that exact point in time, I was really glad we left the kids with the dinosaur." As Blade looks over at both Dracula and Apocalypse's severed heads, he says, "Forever's a long time." At this point, Sue Storm reunites with Franklin, Pepper Potts reunites with Tony, Beast and Nightcrawler retrieve Magneto, and everything is set right. As Peter narrates saying, "Who says a post-apocalyptic world has to be a bad thing? Forget your barren wastelands, your fashion dominated by leather and skulls, and the all-too-common problem of roving cannibals. After the fall of our civilization came something better," as we see our heroes walking into the sunset, starting a new life. And with that, the Dark Ages story comes to an end. I gotta say, guys, I thoroughly enjoyed this 6-issue miniseries. It is a super fun, shocking, and all-around good read. In fact, I enjoyed it enough to add it to my list of recommendation for any person wanting to get into comics. It's really well written and a compelling story with great artwork, and it's a self-contained series that's reasonably short at only 6 issues. Overall, it's yet another Tom Taylor Elseworlds masterpiece. But that's just my 2 cents. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this miniseries? Let us know in the comments. And that's going to do it for today's episode, but if you like this episode, check out that one right here. And if you like all of our content, like, subscribe, comment, it always helps us out. But other than that, I'll see you all next week when I talk about all things comics.